Jessica Ramirez had always known that working at Global Tech Solutions in downtown Los Angeles would be a challenge. As a young Filipina woman climbing the corporate ladder, she had faced subtle discrimination before, but nothing compared to what awaited her under the watch of Carl Benson, the notorious department supervisor. Carl was a man fueled by insecurity masked under arrogance. Known for his short temper and underlying prejudices, he saw Jessica's intelligence and composure as a threat he couldn't tolerate. Jessica had worked harder than anyone else in her department. Late nights, extra projects, mentoring junior employees. She did it all without a single complaint. In fact, senior management had started noticing her efforts, and whispers of a potential promotion had begun circulating the office floors. Meanwhile, Carl watched all this from the corner of his eye, bitterness growing inside him like a festering wound. One Monday morning, as Jessica entered the office, dressed impeccably in a tailored navy suit and holding a stack of finalized project reports, Carl was waiting. His face was red with anger, veins bulging from his neck. Jessica barely had time to place her coffee on her desk when Carl stormed over, waving a paper in her face. "What are you doing just standing there?" he bellowed, his voice echoing across the cubicles. Everyone's head snapped up. Phones were slowly lowered from ears, keyboards fell silent. Jessica blinked, caught off guard but refusing to show fear. Carl threw a document on her desk, a minor error, one that wasn't even Jessica's responsibility. Yet he seized the opportunity to humiliate her publicly. Jessica, calm and composed, simply said, "I will fix it immediately, Mr. Benson." But inside, she knew something deeper was brewing. This wasn't about a report, it was about her. The days that followed became unbearable. Carl found reasons to nitpick Jessica's work, publicly called her out in meetings, and once even mocked her accent in front of the sales team. "You're lucky we even let you people work here," Carl sneered one afternoon, loud enough for several colleagues to hear. Jessica could feel the stares, the pitying looks from coworkers who were too scared to stand up for her. But she wasn't going to break, not yet. She started documenting everything, every email, every comment, every outburst. What Carl didn't know was that Jessica had a secret. She wasn't just a regular employee. Jessica had recently completed her law degree part-time, specializing in employment law and workers' rights. She knew exactly what Carl was doing, and she knew exactly how to respond, legally and strategically. One evening, after another humiliating confrontation where Carl threw a file at her desk, Jessica went home and prepared her case. Calmly, methodically, she compiled evidence, wrote reports, and contacted HR through the proper channels, ensuring everything was airtight. Meanwhile, Carl gloated to his buddies over beers, laughing about how he was putting that maid in her place. He had no idea that his empire was about to collapse around him. A week later, Global Tech's senior management called for an emergency meeting. Unbeknownst to Carl, Jessica had filed a formal complaint not just internally, she had also sent a detailed report to corporate headquarters and had quietly begun talks with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC. When Carl strutted into the office that morning, he noticed something odd. The HR director, the vice president of operations, and even the CEO were there, standing by the conference room. Jessica sat silently at the head of the table, flanked by two lawyers. Carl's smirk faltered. "Mr. Benson," the HR director said coldly, "we have reviewed numerous reports and complaints regarding your conduct. We have verified them with recorded evidence." Carl opened his mouth to object, but was swiftly handed a thick folder containing screenshots, audio recordings, and formal testimonies. Jessica watched him squirm, maintaining her professional demeanor. And then it came. the moment she had patiently waited for. The CEO placed a termination letter in front of Carl. Jessica, with slow, deliberate grace, picked up the pen and signed as the official witness to Carl Benson's termination. Carl's face turned pale, his hands trembling. In one fell swoop, the man who tried to tear her down had been brought to his knees by the very woman he underestimated. The story didn't end there. Word spread quickly across global tech about what had happened. Jessica was hailed as a hero, an inspiration. She didn't just fight for herself, she fought for everyone who had been too afraid to speak up. Senior management immediately offered Jessica Carl's former position, a significant promotion with a major salary increase. But Jessica, ever graceful, politely declined. "I appreciate the offer," she said, "but I believe it's time for me to start something new on my own terms." Jessica left Global Tech soon after and founded her own consultancy, Empower Legal Solutions, specializing in protecting employees from workplace harassment and discrimination. Within a year, her firm became one of the most respected in Los Angeles, helping thousands find their voice just as she once found hers. Carl, on the other hand, struggled to find work. Every time he interviewed, Jessica's case would surface during background checks. He became a pariah in the corporate world, a man brought down not by a rival but by his own hatred and ignorance. Jessica had risen higher than Carl could ever dream, and she did it with intelligence, patience, and unwavering strength. After leaving Global Tech, Jessica spent long nights building her new company. She rented a small office space downtown, barely large enough for a desk, a few chairs, and a dream. Empower Legal Solutions started small, a few pro bono cases, helping janitors, clerks, and immigrants who faced workplace discrimination. Word spread quickly. Jessica's reputation grew not because she was flashy, but because she truly cared. Each case she fought wasn't just about a settlement, it was about justice. Meanwhile, Carl Benson sat at home, jobless and humiliated. His expensive lifestyle, the luxury car, the uptown apartment, quickly began slipping away. He was forced to sell his car and move into a small, dingy one-bedroom apartment. Carl's friends deserted him, unwilling to associate with someone branded as a racist bully. Late at night, Carl would scroll through LinkedIn, seeing Jessica's updates, her firm's success, and the awards she started winning. Jessica Ramirez, top 40 under 40. Jessica Ramirez, Advocate of the Year for Employee Rights. Each post was like salt in his wounds, but karma wasn't done with Carl yet. One rainy evening, Jessica walked into a downtown cafe for a meeting with a potential client, a large corporation seeking her expertise on building an inclusive workplace. As she sipped her coffee, someone familiar caught her eye. Carl was there, dressed in a worn-out jacket, handing out resumes to unimpressed diners, begging for any work. Jessica's heart twisted for a moment. Despite everything he did to her, seeing him so broken made her realize something important. Revenge wasn't victory, growth was. Carl saw her too. His face flushed with shame and rage, but he said nothing. He simply turned and walked away, disappearing into the rainy night. Jessica returned to her meeting, smiling warmly at the executives across the table. This, she thought, is where I'm meant to be. As Empower Legal Solutions expanded, Jessica faced new challenges, managing a growing team, handling high-profile cases, and even dealing with occasional threats from powerful corporations she sued. But Jessica remained firm. She hired passionate people, many of them immigrants, minorities, women who had been denied opportunities elsewhere. Her office became a place of second chances and fresh starts. One particular case tested her strength, representing a group of undocumented workers against a billion-dollar tech giant that had underpaid and abused them. The trial was brutal. Jessica received threats, the media attacked her, and powerful lobbyists tried to silence her. But Jessica, remembering the humiliation she once endured, stood taller than ever. After months of grueling court battles, she won, securing a $25 million settlement for the workers and national recognition. Her story was featured in major magazines. Time. Jessica Ramirez, the face of courage in corporate America. 2 years after Carl's downfall, Global Tech's new leadership reached out to Jessica. They wanted to hire her firm to conduct mandatory anti-discrimination training across their national offices. Jessica accepted, but only under her terms, complete authority to implement policies, fire repeat offenders, and ensure accountability. On her first day walking back into Global Tech as a consultant, not as an employee, Jessica paused in the lobby. She looked around, remembering the days she felt small, powerless, unseen. Now employees whispered her name with respect, admiration, and even awe. In one training session, Jessica spotted a few old colleagues, people who had once ignored her struggles. They couldn't meet her gaze. Jessica smiled inwardly. Forgiveness wasn't forgetting. Forgiveness was moving forward without carrying the weight of their sins. Meanwhile, Carl, desperate and bitter, attempted to sue Jessica for ruining his career. He filed a frivolous lawsuit full of lies and baseless accusations. Jessica didn't even flinch. Her legal team destroyed Carl's claims within weeks. The judge not only dismissed the case, but fined Carl for wasting the court's time. Broke, blacklisted, and now publicly humiliated in court again, Carl faded into obscurity. He took odd jobs, dishwasher, night janitor, living a life he once sneered at. Jessica's journey didn't just end with a